Hey guys, welcome back to Sophisticakes by Mary. For this tutorial, I'm going to show you how I made this fairly simple macrame 4-tier wedding cake with a beautiful floral cascade that is really the eye-catching part of this whole design, if you ask me. So for this tutorial, I am going to take my boss along with me, and she's going to show you how she sets up the cake. So let's get started with the actual assembly of the cake. Now this cake was a 6-inch, 8-inch, 10-inch, and 12-inch tiered cake. And I am just frosting these cakes with crusting American buttercream that I will leave a link to in the description box. We use the same recipe at home I use the same recipe at home when I do my tutorials as what we use at work. Now, these are already filled and crumb coated, and I'm just showing you how I am doing the final coats. I did 2 final coats on each tier. And the reason for that is just to make it cleaner. I find that if I do one good coat and then put it in the freezer for about 10 minutes and come back and then do another thinner final coat, I can really kind of crisp it up and make it very sharp. Now, the reason I'm making this fast is because there are a lot of tiers and this did take a lot of time. I don't want you to get bored with watching me just frosting the cakes, but I want you to see the process. And like I said, the star of this whole cake was the actual macrame itself and the floral placement. Now I'm using a piping bag to apply the buttercream just because I feel like I have a little bit more control over how thick of a layer I'm putting on. And I alternate between the two. I don't always do it that way. Sometimes I'm not in the mood to fill a bag. But other times I just don't want that frosting on my hands, and I want to make sure that I get a real even amount of buttercream on each tier. And this time I opted for the bag. And I'm using my plastic scrapers to smooth it and to pull the top rim into the middle of the top of each tier, and that's what gives me that really crisp corner. Now you won't see how many times I'm spinning this around on each different tier because it takes a long time. So I show you how I start it, and then I kind of skip some of the middle sections and then show you how I finish it up. So I know I can't frost a cake this fast. It takes time. And these are the final coats of each tier. And then I'm just setting them back in the fridge until I'm ready to assemble. I did the frosting one day. Did I do frosting one day and then assembled it the second day? No, I think I did this all in one day. We'll see. We'll see if my shirt color changes. Dead giveaway on how many days it's taken me to do this. If I have a change of clothes, this is the next day. But what I do when I'm assembling the tiers is when I am putting the support system in the bottom tier, I have the next tier in the freezer firming up. And I like to use that star cutter because that marks out where I'm going to put all of my dowels. I typically do 5 of the bigger dowels in each tier until I get up to the top. I might use slightly smaller, dowels between the 8 and the 6-inch tier, just because the 6-inch tier is not a lot of weight. But on the bottom tier, I will use the 5 bigger ones, and then I'll use 3 of the smaller ones in the center. And I leave those sticking up because when I put that next tier on top that has been chilled, the weight of it will do a lot of the work for me, and it will push down those smaller dowels that are in the middle. And then I do have some buttercream on top of the tier before I put the next one on, just to get them to stick together. Please pay no attention to the lady with no makeup assembling this cake. It's impossible for me to not be in it. Here, I wanted to show you how I'm correcting a lean. See how I'm putting that dowel at an angle, and then I kind of crank it over to the side, and then I hold it in that position, and I bang that dowel down into the middle. That dowel is sharpened with a pencil sharpener, so it goes right through each layer of cake board and into the bottom boards on the bottom, those drums. And it really keeps it secure. Now this is how I made my macrame. I'm using that mold by Marvelous Molds. It's just a knit pattern mold. This is just making my life easier, because when you use it in a macrame pattern, it gives you the look of the yarn. Just because of it has that texture of yarn. because cable knit sweaters kind of the same look, right? And that's what these molds are for, and they're very easy to use. You just put cornstarch in them, roll out your fondant to about a quarter of an inch thick. Place it into your cornstarched mold that you tap the extra out of, and then you kind of focus on those outside edges. They kind of cut off the extra for you. Focus on those to get the extra cut off. Just use your fondant smoother to rub it down, and then make sure that you are pressing the pattern into the fondant that's inside the mold. Just use your hand and make sure that you get even pressure all the way around that mold so that you get an even impression. Now, another nice thing is that they slide right into each other. If you were to do a horizontal, just wrap around a cake, then you would have a seamless look. Unfortunately, you can't do that with the middle since I am doing this piece to drape over two tiers of cake, but that's okay. You can kind of blend that seam in together with like a Dresden tool. And now I'm going to make a rope border for around the outside, and I'm going to use an extruding tool. And I didn't show you a good shot of what shape that I put into that, but it's kind of like a three petal is what it looks like. It kind of gives you the indentations in the middle. I can't explain it. Can you see what I'm trying to say? I hope so. Because when you extrude it and then you twist it like that, the groove that is pushed into the fondant when you extrude it turns into a rope when you twist it. Just twist both ends and then just kind of clean it up and get a level thickness of your strand. And I did this for both sides. And then I am making tassels. Same way. This is like a multi-hole attachment, and it kind of gives you that tassel look. I mean, you could roll out those individually if you want to, but who wants to take that much time? And what I found with this too, on this one, I don't know if it's because I was just getting tired or what, but when I held it up like this, after a while, I figured out when I held it up, it kept those tassels kind of separated from each other a little bit. And then you just gather the tip, one end of it together, and that is where you're going to attach it to your cake. I'm attaching these with there was condensation on the cake, so that is what made the fondant stick. If you need to, you could put a little water on your buttercream to get your fondant pieces to stick. And there I'm trying to kind of merge the two pieces together. You can still see it, but I think in the whole scheme of things, that is a minor detail. I still love these molds, and it still did a really good job. And there I'm using my Dresden tool to kind of try to merge those pieces together. And then I'm just putting on my rope border. If you let them sit for a little bit, maybe 15 minutes, they're gonna firm up enough so that they don't stretch when you apply them to your cake. Because sometimes you have that problem when you do fondant decorations. If you don't let them sit and firm up a little bit, they're gonna stretch out of shape by the time you put them on the cake. So let them sit for a little bit, it's okay. Same with the tassels. They had sat for another 10-15 minutes also before I attached them. Now I'm just using, I think I did a little bit of, no, I just used water again. I just added a little water onto the back of the tassels, and that between that and the water or the condensation on the cake, they stuck just fine. Now this is the next day. We are delivering, and here you're gonna see Addie. Ain't she pretty? She is hysterical. So it was a very stormy day. As we were driving, a storm was rolling in, so we were having a fun time laughing about it. And that was the cake in the back seat. We do have a good time. And see, Addie is more brave than I am. She will just pick up the whole thing and just hoof it in there. Me, no, maybe it's my age. I like to assemble it in pieces. She just goes ahead and just takes it in. If you're young and strong, go ahead and do it this way if that's how you prefer, especially since the dowel's in there. It's not going to topple over. See, I would be so nervous that my hands would give out. That's what I'd be nervous about. And here she is attaching the flowers. I loved how she did this. She left some vertical and then filled in around them, and she's using a little bit of buttercream to attach those flowers to the cake. Now those ends are wrapped. You can't really tell because it's green floral tape, but they are wrapped, and then she's using the buttercream. And then she's finishing it off with some greenery. different kinds of greenery. They left us the flowers to attach. So we do a lot of that, working with what we are given, because it matches the floral of the rest of the venue. And there you can see my light. That is the system that I use to film my videos anymore. It is my Rover made by Revo, and I will attach a link probably on this video and in the description where you can get one of those yourself. You can get a 15% off if you use my code MARY15. And there she is, all done, guys. I thought this was really pretty, especially in this barn wedding. It went so well with everything, but as per usual, the cake is in the corner. You can't see the rest of the decorations, but trust me, it was gorgeous in there. Maybe you saw that as Addie was carrying the cake in. I hope you did. And I hope you guys liked it. And I hope you give the macrame cake a try. I love this trend and I think it's gorgeous. So thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch my video. And if you'd like to watch some other videos, go ahead and click on the link to one of these other videos shown here. And if you would like to check out my other social media, I am on Facebook and Instagram under the same name, Sophisticates by Mary. And please take the time to share, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you know when I upload another video. Thank you so much, and we'll catch you on the next tutorial.